Today's a very serious call out for help, and I'm going to do this quickly without a lot of details, but believe me, we've dug in and done a lot of the research, pulling reports and files, and even hired attorneys who have not taken action. So today is not a call for money, it's a call for an attorney. If you are an attorney, please feel free to reach out to me via the email below. If you're not an attorney, please don't give us referrals. We have gone through referrals. At this point, we're down to the wire. So as you can see from the thumbnail, this is a call for help. Beverly, as I will give the story, was removed from her home. We're now at the point of working with the FBI, and we need to get her back in her home. So again, this is a story really where we're calling for an attorney to step up and help her. So this video really matters. Please listen all the way through if you can and forward it to others. I have not been in the pattern of asking for a like or subscribe or any of that. But what I would ask is if you know anybody that can help with this, please send them the link to this video. This is not a fundraiser. This is not a GoFundMe. This is not a grift. Beverly is not asking for money, and she wants to be very, very clear on that. She's extremely proud. But she's asking for an attorney, and she asks everybody she sees if they have an attorney that will work with her. If you're not a real estate attorney or a civil rights attorney, then maybe you know another attorney, but have them contact us, please, after they watch this video. We've contacted dozens of referrals, and time is running out. In fact, most recently, we paid an attorney $5,000 in cash. It's been 4 months with no action. Again, if you're an attorney who can help, the email is in description. Who is Beverly? Beverly grew up the way many Americans grew up, except she grew up down in the South. That's the only difference than what Californians are used to. It's a little bit different lifestyle. She had a mom and her dad, a military family. Education mattered. Hard work mattered. Owning a home mattered. Her parents focused on her and drilled in her the necessity for hard work and ownership of property. She always had her head in a book, according to her. She worked 2 to 3 jobs at a time, and she is proud to say she has 2 full careers under her belt. She's worked hard. In fact, even today, she's got a job. She's in her 80s. She bought 2 homes in San Jose, California on her own. Later, she met a second husband. Together, they chose a home in the 1980s. We're talking back 40 years. They paid about $220,000, and she says that they got the house because they didn't argue the price. Everybody else wanted to knock off a few thousand, and they proudly paid what was asked. She picked the most beautiful home in a newly developed neighborhood built by Ponderosa. She loved her home. They paid the asking price, no bargaining. The home. While most homes in the neighborhood are around 2,000 square feet, Beverly's was over 3,400 square feet, plus an in-law unit. She had disposable money. Her and her husband never had children. Everything she had went into that home. Chandeliers, 2 staircases, the beautiful in-law add-on. She took a great pride in bringing in only the best of artifacts and antiques. Massive furniture to fill this big home. She said parts of the home even had 24-foot ceilings. It was much like a museum for this couple. They had no children. They didn't travel much. They were homebodies. This was their space. Their disposable income went into, as I mentioned, high-end antiques and furniture, into this home that they loved. Then sadly, her husband, who was one of the lead engineers at Moffett Field, passed away. And that's when Beverly became a target. The fraud begins. In 2007, again, they bought this home in the 1980s. It was paid off. In 2007, Beverly received a notice. Her home was being foreclosed. It was a notice of default for a $43,000 debt, but she didn't have any debt. She and her husband paid cash for everything. That's when she learned something shocking. The year before, a loan of almost $1 million had been taken out on the property. A mortgage she never signed for, a mortgage that was fraudulent. She was told she would have to keep paying it while it got investigated. So she paid and she paid and she paid for more than 20 years. And she paid and she paid. She didn't think it was fair, but she didn't think much of it. She just had an automatic withdrawal when her husband's pension went in. It went to keep the home that she left. She knew at some point somebody would help her. She just didn't think it would take this long. The people who said that they would help her took her money, but walked away. So after nearly 20 years of fighting, for almost 20 years, Beverly fought this fraud. She pulled her home out of default again and again. She was paying it. Why was it going into default? It made no sense to her. The title tells the story. But without going into that detail here, while the servicing company itself appeared to be part of the problem, they kept taking money out of her bank account per the automatic transfer, but not always crediting it to the, she doesn't know where the money went to. They had no problem draining her bank accounts. She began receiving aggressive calls, threats, pressure to sell, pressure to just give up. She was on a list, clearly. She didn't know how she got on it or how to get off of it. But even now in her 80s, she's extremely sharp. She has 3 inches of legal documents of evidence that that is her home, and nobody will listen. She hasn't been able to break free. What happened during COVID? One scam after another. People went in the darkness and hid their faces and did things that no human being should ever do to another human being. In the isolation and darkness of that time, the mortgage company moved faster, or the servicing company. SPS allegedly, how that goes in there, I don't know. But as I contacted attorneys nationwide, they all know of Select Portfolio. The same one withdrawing the money from her bank account for the fraudulent debt transferred the paperwork to a default company in Arizona. Now we have a third state involved. Based on what we've uncovered, the company sent notice of defaults to itself. The address and the return address was the same. They never meant for her to see that it was in default. Her home was then sold at auction. So how did Beverly find out that her home was gone? Well, even today, if you ask her, she's going to tell her, no, she's not selling her home. No, she's not giving up on her home. No, she never signed away rights to that home. They don't have a right to it. So this gets even more devious as we peeled back the pages and found out what exactly happened. So how did Beverly find out? She'd been paying all these years, kept asking for help, doing what she was told. At one point, an attorney even had her file for bankruptcy, and she kept saying, I have no debt. But they said a bankruptcy foreclosure would save her home. Beverly found out because she was in her kitchen. She's in her mid-80s. 2 police officers and 2 other individuals forced their way into her home. They threatened her and they removed her physically. They told her that she would be arrested for trespassing if she ever came back out of her own home that she'd fought for years. The most beautiful home in the entire neighborhood. Even in her mid-80s, when I drove by the home, I was shocked at how beautiful the garden is manicured. The home is recently painted with perfection. She paid somebody to hand paint this massive estate that she had. She really adored that home and felt safe inside of it. As you and I know, we have seen a lot about squatters' rights. You have to go through a process in order to evict tenants. But what I didn't know is if you own the property, that process is highly cut off. In many cases, a simple 3-day notice is all that's mattered. But in this case, Beverly didn't even get that. As an elderly individual, she's afforded a different set of assistance. And as being in California, there's another level of protections. She didn't get any of that. And when they do evictions in Santa Clara County, it's the sheriff's office that goes out. I went to the sheriff's office. They have no record of that address. They did not serve an eviction notice there, according to the sheriff's office. So we went back to the police office because she's adamant that after working in probation, she knows what a San Jose police officer uniform looks like. And a neighbor verified that there were 2 police cars out front. But the San Jose Police Department for months and months has denied, in fact, for over 6 months, has denied that they were out there. Were they or were they not? They're denying other things that happened too. If, in fact, the San Jose Police Department fraudulently was involved in this eviction, we need to know. And why would it be covered up? Arrest and injury. Once you're out of your home, you're open to the wild. As she sat in her car for over a year, just shocked at what has happened. She's in her 80s. Where is she supposed to live? She grabbed a sleeping bag at some point, laid down the seats in the back of her car, like a little SUV, and waited it out. In the only place that she felt safe after living there for over 40 years, she would often sleep around that neighborhood or even in front of the house. She never stepped back on the property, and she's never gone back inside. Well, one day, 2 police officers showed up. One of them apparently stayed across the street, and one of them removed her from the car, threw her down in the street, roughed her up. She now has a bad shoulder that's out of a socket, a bad hip. Needs to have her teeth pulled, damage to her jaw, and she's got a bump on her head that's never gone away. She also now says she has problems seeing. And for why? She was handcuffed, brought down to jail, and had to spend the night. She was let out on a bond and given a date to appear in court. Yet even with the intervening of our California senator and via Open Records Act, the San Jose Police Department don't seem to have any record of this happening. We've asked for body camera footage in addition to the arrest records. There's nothing, they say. Then why did we have to appear in court? When we appeared in court, she was assigned a public defender who informed her she'd better research this. It didn't seem right. Her case was not actually heard, but rather the DA and the public defender stood off in the corner as they said there's nothing here that needs to be dismissed, and told not the judge but the commissioner, who had no clue what day it was, and they signed off on it. They then told Beverly that she did not have to return to court. The case was dismissed. It was all handled. This is important because recently I found out there's more charges and she has to go back in March. And yet this is part of the fraudulent system. As I'm meandering through the system and trying to find out what's happening and how I can help her, and she does not even have a right to know why she was arrested. Even the DA's office keeps responding to my email saying this case is closed for privacy. We can't tell her. And yes, we're documenting everything. People who once get in the system don't get out of the system. They say their court dates are changed without them knowing, and then a warrant is out for arrest. Apparently, charges can be added for a year or 2 later, but she doesn't have the right to know why she was arrested. And all they say is she needs to subpoena for the records. How is she supposed to subpoena for the records when she can't get an attorney to help her? It's maddening. It's scary. And this can happen to any of us. And sadly, It's happened to a lot of people. The DA's office on the real estate investment side has said they can't investigate this because they have too many similar cases. They were extremely familiar with Select Portfolio. They had to just cut off their caseload. Who's going to help her? So again, about a year after being removed from her home illegally and having her home illegally seized, both the home and the contents, with everything in it, her whole life for more than 40 years, family pictures, antiques, furs and diamonds, crystal, everything gone. She was arrested and found herself sitting in a jail. She'd not been on that property or in the house. She didn't know what was happening. And again, to this day, neither the DA nor the police will even tell her why she was arrested, even ignoring the requests from the senator. Stonewalling and cover-up. We have made Open Records Act requests through the police department, through the DA, and through the state senator. The police seem to lose the request. Even when I walk in there with a timestamp on it or proof of the email sent, they have no record. What kind of scam is that? The DA says for privacy reasons they can't help her and puts right on it they consider the request closed. We filed the complaints over and over again, but we're not getting any help. So we filed outside of the county and the state. We filed with the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. We're waiting for our turn. And on Monday, Beverly and I ventured up to the FBI office at 450 Golden Gate in San Francisco. Seriously? FBI doesn't have computers? This goes along with Kyle Serafin's comment, no, Dan Bongino's comment that the FBI has yesterday's technology today. The guy had pen and paper and didn't know how to properly structure notes. He could have used a Cornell course. But we're grateful for his time, we hope. They wouldn't give us a badge number or a report number or any evidence that we were there or even any indication that we would be helped. But we made the journey up there, took an entire day, and will continue looking for help. The smoking gun. Here's the part that matters. We've pulled all bank records, all title records, all county records. Beverly has no unpaid debt. She never missed a property tax payment, as an example. Yet the home was auctioned. No title search, no title insurance, no title company touched this. They circumvented the process. And the Santa Clara County clerk transferred the title because the default company out of Arizona filed a document entitled Affidavit of Death. They told the county that she died, and for $0, no transfer fee, transferred it out of her name into somebody else's name. I assure you, Beverly is very much alive, and she wants her home back. The ask. This is the call to action. This is not, again, a shakedown, a grift, an ask for money. Beverly doesn't want that. She wants her home back. And the only pathway that she sees that that's going to happen is with an honest attorney. Apparently, she needs 2 attorneys. She's seeking a real estate attorney experienced in wrongful foreclosure and title fraud. Once again, a real estate attorney experienced in wrongful foreclosure and title fraud. And it would be wonderful if you also have experience with Select Portfolio SPS. Additionally, she is seeking a civil rights attorney willing to stand up against the police misconduct, wrongful eviction, false arrest, and the harm done to her in her mid-80s physically. If you're not an attorney who can help, please don't email. We need to get through this quickly. But if you are, if you have the experience, the backbone, and the integrity, please reach out to the email below in the description. Beverly is down to the wire. It's been almost 2 years since she was removed from her home. She has all the documents ready to go. She just needs somebody to stand by her side and do it. Again, the email is in the description below. Please, what you can do if you're not an attorney, share this video. Let people know that somebody out there is asking for help. It may not be to the person you share it to, but maybe they have a husband or wife or a child or a family member or a neighbor that can help. Because this should never happen to anyone. And yet it is happening way too often. And for Beverly, who believes she probably only has another 5 or so years left with the bad hip, she wants her home back. Thank you for listening today. Please take this seriously and let's help Beverly. Thank you.